everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we're going to be doing my commentary / analysis for episode, I think it's 608, Vampigami. So please make sure you have already watched the episode before watching the rest of this video, because I'm about to spoil the entire thing for you. And also, once again, the Highland cow blanket is sideways at making a reappearance because I'm freezing to death. The only purple shirt I had is this purple crop top. I came dressed as Julika, assuming it was a Julika episode, and there wasn't much Julika content, but I don't know if we'll be getting another one, so anyway, yeah. As you may have guessed from kind of what I just said then, very briefly, personally, I was not impressed by this episode. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some moments in this episode I really liked. So, for example, I filmed my reaction before I rewatched the episode and took my notes for this video. And I went downstairs before I started taking the notes to see if my mum wanted a cup of tea before I got on with it. And she was like, oh, how was the episode? And I was like, I didn't think it was very good. And she was like, well, I could hear you laughing quite a lot. And don't get me wrong, I did quite enjoy the episode in terms of the fun factor. However, in terms of the actual writing factor, no. I would give it 6.5 out of 10. Like I said, it had some great moments. I thought the Adrian in this episode was wonderful. I loved Prem's song number, was a little bit random, but as the actual song, really enjoyed it. Also, apparently Prem isn't how you pronounce it from my comments yesterday, but everyone in the episode was pronouncing it Prem. So I'm not really sure how else to say it. So to the person who left that comment, I am really sorry. I was hoping to learn how to pronounce it in the episode. But they all pronounced it the same way I pronounced it, so perhaps when this episode releases in the English dub, I'll have more of an idea how to correctly pronounce it, but my apologies once again. So I love the internet, loved Prem's song number. I really enjoyed the Akuma, I thought it was really cool, but there were just some things I was like, no. Basically. I just felt there were some leaps in logic that didn't make sense. So obviously we know at this point Lila is starting to suspect Marinette is Ladybug, and we all know Lila is correct, but Lila isn't 100% sure yet. However, Tiki just happens to see the camera. I could barely see the camera. I just didn't know if, because it was quite a dark episode when they get to the cinema, I couldn't see it. So how on earth did Tiki see it? Don't know. Like, it was cool and all for creating drama, the new butterfly holder, but I was a bit like, okay. But then at the same time, so as you see when Adrian's running, so the front door to the cinema has been locked by Lila, presumably. You don't see her face, but I'm presuming it's Lila. And I also think she's in disguise as like this, looks like a white vampire or something. I don't know, I'll put a picture on the screen. I think it was her. She was quite far away. Joe, when Marinette runs down the alley and someone stops at the end, I think that was Lila in disguise. But so they can't get out the front door, so the only option for Marinette, she thinks, is to go in the ladies' bathroom to transform, but she can't because there's a camera in there, as Tiki points out, which Tiki just happens to see. Okay, whatever. However, when Adrian leaves like the viewing room, the screen room, he tries the girls' bathroom first, presumably auto to transform. It's been locked. Marinette locked it so she could transform, but obviously she can't. And instead he goes for the next door, which is a no entry door, which I'm assuming leads up to where Zoe and Andre live that we saw in the last episode in Grand Diaper. To me, in order for that plan to work, you need to block all available exits, all available places for Marinette to go and transform. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was a good idea for her to start panicking, pretending she's just scared. The people affected by the Akuma were going to come in or whatever. Fair enough. But then why couldn't she like be listening at the door and then leave and try and find somewhere else, then maybe go back there? You know what I mean? Like, if you want to execute that plan, you have to block all available entrances and exits. So they did the door to the cinema, like the actual entrance into the building, and then nowhere else. So like, okay, she can't get out, but she could transform somewhere else. Why put the camera just there? Put cameras everywhere. You know what I mean? It was just a bit, And then, okay, I really liked Prem. This is like the first episode we properly got to see their personality. He seems absolutely lovely, which honestly I think was part of the problem, because I just didn't buy his akumatization. Don't get me wrong, the Akuma was really cool. I really enjoyed it with the dancing, his outfit, amazing, loved it. It was a real highlight of the episode, to be honest. And I've got his song from the cafeteria stuck in my head at the minute. However, because he's so nice. I just didn't feel it worked because he wasn't like Ray, Nelson or Loic purposely trying to split the couple up because I don't know, like they were in love with one of them or whatever. He wasn't trying to do that. I just think Prem, honestly I wasn't sure by the end of the episode if he did have feelings for Rose or he's just someone who is overly affectionate. Like I have friends like that, they don't have feelings for me, they're just very affectionate with me. And they are with a lot of people, and that's just who they are as people. So I wasn't sure if that was the case or if he actually had feelings for Rose, because you know when you get the Pigella gift, all it is Rose. It's not like, oh, one of Prem and Rose, then one of Prem and Mark, and then one of Prem and Marinette. You're like, Prem just wants his friends to be happy. That's like what he wants the most in this world. It was just of him and Rose. So I wasn't sure if Prem had feelings for her. But honestly, to me, from the way the episode was going, it made more sense for Julika to be the one who akumatized. You know what I mean? And this episode, it was a bit odd because it did feel like it was going to be a Julika episode with elements of Rose, but it ended up not being. It was a bit odd. And then the thing with Luca, I loved the phone call Julika had with Luca, and then Luca rings Rose, be like, hey, there's something up, can you go to my sister? She thinks that you're gonna abandon her or whatever. But then there's no follow through, there's no follow up with Luca. What is the state of the twins' relationship after this episode? I don't know. Anyway, we'll get into it more as we go through, but I'm not gonna lie to you, if I don't like an episode, I won't pretend to. I've been briefly on Twitter and the reaction seems fairly positive throughout the fandom. Most people seem to like it. Someone was like, wow, Vampigami being one of the best episodes this season so far, and I'm like, perhaps one of the worst in my opinion. Of course, they're entitled to their opinion. So if you really enjoy this episode, I'm really very happy for you. But unfortunately, I do not share the same opinion, so if you're perhaps not looking for a video that isn't going to sing all of Vampigami's praises, perhaps this one isn't for you. Don't get me wrong, I like bits of it, but certainly not all of it. And one thing I did like was the opening. I thought the opening of this episode was absolutely solid. Loved the opening with Rose getting a new wig, I would assume, and Julika being there for her, and Rose is like, oh, maybe I should have like a little pink headscarf, and Julika's like, I don't think I could take how much more beautiful that would make you. Loved it, amazing. Which, one thing I just want to say, when I was talking about in my trailer analysis yesterday, Rose and Julika, obviously we know for definite now after the kiss in El Torre de Piedra that they are dating. I have always kind of just assumed they have been dating. Because of the censorship though, it's been hard to tell. So I'm not actually sure when exactly they got together. I just have always assumed they were. But I didn't know when it started. But anyway, opening scene, absolutely beautiful. And I also love the next scene with Marinette and Adrian. And honestly at this point, just give her her own key, or, you know, let Adrian go and, you know, answer the door if it's going to be early, just instead of ringing the doorbell, which would wake everyone in the house up. Just have Marinette text Adrian like, yeah, I'm at the front door, come and let me in, without having to wake Natalie up. However, Natalie in this episode was amazing. She was great just at the start, she's only in the start, but she was great. She was just like, this is too early for you to be here. You do something unique together every day. You literally saw each other at school, and Marinette's like, I don't know, we saw each other like half an hour ago on our FaceTime or whatever. And she gives him a little smile. She was just super, super cute. And obviously we get confirmation that this episode is indeed set after Where Papa's, because obviously Adrian's met his grandparents at this point. And the way the vampire musical show was being described sounds very much to me like a live screening of the Rocky Horror Show. I personally have never seen the Rocky Horror Show in a cinema, and honestly I don't think I'd enjoy the experience. Not so much because of the film's content, but just more so the atmosphere of it. That's just not a place for me. I just know what I'm like and my temperament, and I think I'd have a panic attack, so I wouldn't ever go. But it sounds basically very, very similar to that. And Natalie, again, amazing. I just need an entire flashback. Actually, not even, I was about to say I need a flashback episode of Natalie going to this thing dressed up. Forget that, I would just like a spin-off series about Natalie. Whether it's set now, when she was younger. I would just like some more Natalie content, please. Just give me Natalie. Give me everything you have for this woman. Because I am in love with her. Anyway. So I loved the opening. And then of course Marinette goes to school. She's like, Alia, I can't go to this thing, it's horror, I don't like horror films, but we have to do it because we're a couple, we have to do everything together, which you absolutely do not if you hadn't realised that already yourselves. You do not, you're allowed to have your own interests. You do not need to do everything together. It's nice if they take an interest and they support you through it or whatever. Like for example, not that I've been in a relationship before, but my friends in the past, we all share different interests, but we're still happy and there for each other when something in that field happens. Like my mum doesn't care about Miraculous, but even though I went downstairs to make a cup of tea before I sat down to film this, she still wanted to know what I thought about the episode. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing she's ever seen of the show is the film because I made her go to Paris with me for the premiere. She hasn't seen a single episode of it, but she still cares. You know what I mean? Like, you can still be there for each other without physically being there for each other, if that makes sense. And Trix was hilarious in this film. Who, by the way, very fluffy tail. He reminded me of like a red squirrel. I've never actually been lucky enough to see a red squirrel. Basically, red squirrels are native to the United Kingdom, but then grey squirrels came. I think grey squirrels are originally from the US, and they basically started like taking over all the habitats and taking all the food, and I think they also carry a virus that specifically kills red squirrels, so we don't have that many left. So if you've ever seen a red squirrel in the UK, you've been very lucky. They're so cute. I'll put a picture on the screen. They've got their ears. I love them. To be fair, I do like grey squirrels as well, but red squirrels, they are another level. So honestly, Trix looked a bit more like a red squirrel than a fox to me, but still adorable, still cute. And then obviously we have the little starting scene in the cafeteria where Rose is like, oh, I'd love to go to that thing. Nellie is like, oh well, it's a shame we don't know anyone who doesn't like it, man. It's like, yeah, it's a real shame. So I was really enjoying myself in this episode until that point. And then Prem comes in and does this song. Now, don't get me wrong, I really liked this song. Thought it was great. I still have it stuck in my head. I'm probably going to be singing it all day even though it was in French. But I'll be humming the tune to myself or whatever. Loved the song, and definitely in terms of the songs we've got in episodes like Gabriel's Embarrassment in season 5, the random song Adrian sings to Marinette in season 5, and the entirety of the Santa Claus episode, by far this is the best song we have got in the show. Okay? Love the song, and I do also understand why that song was in the episode in the first place because of Prem's Akuma, which does have musical qualities to it, which again was done because the vampire film was a musical. So I understand how it all works together and the reasoning as to why, and I also really enjoyed the song, loved it. However, with all of that being said, as much as I liked the song and as much as I understood how it tied into the rest of the episode, it just starts out of nowhere. Like, they're all just having a conversation, the girls are chatting in the cafeteria, goes dark, song starts. And basically what I'm a bit like, about is a lack of transition into it. I love musicals, I watch a lot of musicals, Wiki Part 2 is coming out very soon, I am very excited for it. Love musicals, love them so much. And I know a lot of people who don't like musicals are always like, oh, people just start singing out of nowhere. It's not usually out of nowhere. There is usually a bit of a reason for the song. They don't literally just break into song and dance. You know what I mean? Like when you watch a musical, it isn't quite literally people just start singing. There's usually a narrative reason for the song. So I was a bit like, okay. I was a bit confused at first. You'll see my reaction. I'm like the song, but why? So it just seems a bit weird without the transition that it just suddenly starts. I definitely think it needed something between the girls talking and Prem entering the cafeteria, in my opinion. But anyway, the lack of transition for this song aside, the song was great, absolutely loved it. Mark was in the song, so of course I already liked it, and also Mark likes to read, which me too, oh my god. I love to read. And also I love the fact that Prem just called Adrian and Marinette Adrianette. He was like, yeah, it's your collective name now, it's your couple name, I'm not calling you by something separately. And also in the song, Julika is left out, and that basically starts to happen through the rest of the episode, where when Prem gets tickets off Nelson, obviously Nelson is doing it to get Prem to try and break up Rose and Julika, which first of all they seem very centred on couples, which I think maybe that's what the ending was hinting at, that they're gonna go for Adrian and Marinette next. But also like throwing the bat in the water and stuff, like, oh, you're 12, like Loic we found out is 18. Get a grip, Loic. But and then obviously he gets the tickets, and like in the gardens he like proposes to Rose with the tickets, but then they eventually realise, oh no, Julika might want to go and see this. Maybe we should ask Julika to go instead of one of us. So I was like, okay, like she's being gradually left out. So the way I felt the episode was going is it was building to a Julika Akuma. So it did feel a little bit disjointed from that, but we'll get back to that in a second because I like to go in order. The costumes everyone had for the film looked amazing. They all looked great. And the Adrianette was super cute when Marinette just started screaming at everyone, and he catches her and he's like, you okay? You sure about this? And then this is another thing, the scene after. So obviously Julika's done everyone with makeup, she's gone home to the boat. And Raw gets like Raw is like, come on, you need to get angry at this. You should be angry. Someone else has taken your girlfriend to the cinema. Someone else who we kind of think maybe sort of has a thing for Rose. Get angry, you should be angry. Why aren't you angry? And I get where Raw's coming from. I don't blame Raw for this. But again, because Prem was so nice, and just because of the way Rose is as a person, I just don't... I either feel like, because of the way Prem and Rose are, that either Julika shouldn't have been jealous at all, because she knows him really well or whatever, and that they wouldn't ever do anything like that to her. Or on the flip side, they should have had Prem, because we don't know Prem that well, be a bit more flirty and forward with Rose, and it's a lot more ambiguous if that's who they are as a person. Like, I just know people who flirt with everyone and it just doesn't mean anything to them. And then Julika would have a reason to get jealous, you know what I mean? Like, it just felt a bit weird, because like on one hand I could see where Raw was coming from, but I was like, it's kind of unfounded. Because for a lot of it I wasn't sure if Julika was jealous of Prem, or Julika was just upset about being left out, because we know from Reflector she doesn't like that. Which, you know, fair enough, no one likes that, but you know what I mean? Like, I was like, which is it? Bit confused. And then she rings Luca, and I love this conversation between them, thought this was great. However, there's no conclusion to this conversation in the episode. Like, they have an argument and it ends with Julika being like, I can't rely on anyone apart from myself, and she like ends the call and starts punching a pillow. And then obviously Luca calls Rose, which I think was the right move. And obviously Rose gets up to go and talk to Julika because she can't get out of the cinema, fine. But then there's no follow through. Like, Luca doesn't, as far as we're aware, try to bring Julika back, try to make things right with her, maybe try and explain a little bit like, hey, this is why I had to go away, sort of. It was just a little bit strange, to be honest, because there's no follow through, so I really felt like it really lacked a conclusion to that. Like, honestly, we don't get a great deal of Luca and Julika's relationship in the show anyway. Even from when we were first introduced to Luca in Captain Hard Rock, there hasn't been a great deal of sibling interaction. I think we see them briefly together at their birthday party in Crocodile. Then we see them briefly together again in Migration, and then again in either Recreation or Confirmation when Luca finally returns to the city. And then in the flashback in the episode where Luca we see leaving. But not much else. So I thought it would have been really interesting to explore in this episode, but they just kind of leave it. And then we get to the cinema itself, and first of all I was just confused. I was like, how is the cinema sold out? There are seats everywhere, empty seats everywhere. I know they might have been doing like a private screening where they didn't want to fill it, fine, whatever, but like there are seats everywhere. How is it difficult to get tickets for this? And then you find out they're actually at Andre Cinema, and I'm like, everyone should have asked Zoe to ask her stepdad to get them tickets. You know, this whole episode, all the problems could have been avoided. I don't know. And then we get to what I was saying before with the lightless stuff. So don't get me wrong, I really, really enjoyed the plan with the camera in the bathroom and locking what I thought at the time when I was watching it, all of the doors, except they don't. Lila only locks the door that leads you completely out of the cinema, except you don't, because Adrian can go through like the home entrance and then out the front door that way, a bit like in the bakery. If you don't know, at the bakery, when you go downstairs in Marinette's house, you can either go out the side door, which leads you straight onto the street, we've seen that in episodes like Roger Cop, or you can go right into the bakery and out the bakery front door. It's a bit like that. So Adrian was still able to get out, but okay, whatever. So I liked the plan, but again, like I said before, you need to lock all the doors. It's like, one of my favourite films is The Italian Job. When I say The Italian Job, I actually mean The Italian Job remake because I think it's better. I know, unpopular opinion, but I love it. And basically part of the thing they do in the film is they put in some kind of, I don't know the correct words for it, program or whatever, so they can control all of the traffic lights because they are doing a heist. I'm pretty sure it's in the middle of Los Angeles from what I remember. It's been a while since I've watched it. And not that I've ever been to Los Angeles, but a significant problem they encounter in the film is the heavy traffic volume. And they're like, well, we can do anything with green lights all the way. And when they start the heist, they're basically trying to rob gold, like from the original Italian Job. The guy they're robbing it off, they think he's just going to bring one armoured vehicle when he's moving it. He doesn't, he brings 3. So they got to work out, is the gold in all 3 or is it in 1? And once they've worked out what's going on, they basically change lights from red and green and stuff to basically force this van to go exactly where they need it to be in order for them to steal the gold. It's not the entire plot of the film, but like it's a big part of the heist, using the traffic light system to their advantage by basically just controlling it themselves instead of letting the traffic lights do what they are already programmed to do. So in that vein of thinking, when you leave all of the doors unlocked apart from the one to lead through the cinema by, and it seems you've only put a camera in the bathroom because we don't see in the episode that she's maybe put them elsewhere, it just seems a little bit convenient that she goes in the one place. Like if Tiki has said, oh, there's a camera there, maybe you should act scared for a minute, pretend you're listening. Oh, look, they're gone. Run out and try and find somewhere else or whatever. Because I agree it would look suspicious if Marinette just goes in the bathroom, stands there for a minute and is like, I can't transform here. I'll leave now. I get that looks suspicious, so maybe have her do something before she leaves. But like, if you're gonna do something like that, then you have to force Marinette in that bathroom. That has to be the only way. And so yeah, the rest of the episode would then therefore just end up taking place entirely in the cinema and she has to transform, I don't know, under a seat or something. I'm not sure where exactly. But you either do it like that or you have everyone point out how convenient it is that Marinette just happens to run in this room even though there's another unlocked door she could have gone in, and there happens to be a camera in this one and not in the stairway where Adrian transformed. You know what I mean? So, wasn't entirely done well enough. I did think though it definitely revealed that Lila is certainly working with, if not all 3 of the boys, definitely at least Nelson by the looks of it, since Nelson did kind of spearhead what was going on in this episode. Like at first they were just kind of winding Prem and the others up, whereas Nelson was like, oh no wait, I have a better idea than this. So it seemed possibly they're definitely working with Lila, where they're like, okay, we're going to try and cause this Akuma and it's going to happen hopefully at the cinema, so maybe you can try and plan something around it. And I think she maybe just happened to find out Marinette was going to be there, so she locked all the doors and basically tried to work out if she was Ladybug in this episode. So in general, I don't think Lila's plan was bad, but because there were other options, it wasn't good enough. And then we get to Prem being akumatized, and again, don't get me wrong, I thought the Akuma itself once it started was absolutely great. Really enjoyed it, it was really fun. However, I'm just a bit like, about it. So obviously Luca rings Rose, he's like, hey, there's some time between you and Julika tonight or whatever. And Rose is like, oh shoot, I should probably go, I didn't realise Julika would be upset if I came to this film without her. And then Prem gets all upset about it. And whilst I understand it could have been a bit like, oh, or maybe we shouldn't have done that or whatever. Yeah, I could understand why it would get her upset. I just personally don't buy that it should have been enough for Prem to get akumatized from it. I think it might have made him a little bit, But if we're looking at who gets the most upset in this episode, I would think it's Julika over Prem. Now, obviously Lila was looking to akumatize someone who's in the cinema, and Julika wasn't in the cinema at that point. She was in the houseboat because she needed Marinette to transform so she could get it on camera or whatever to prove that she was correct. However, I was just a bit like, I just don't think Prem's reasoning was strong enough. Although I did think it was very funny when Marinette runs out of the cinema and Adrian's like, no, I'll go. Marinette's like, no, you stay. First of all, spend some time with your grandparents. Second of all, the film hasn't started and I hate it already. So that was great. I had some great moments, don't get me wrong, in this episode, but just overall I was like, So yes, I understand Lila wanted to akumatize someone who was in the cinema and Julika wasn't in the cinema. Great. Understood. However, Prem's reasoning for being upset just did not make sense to me, and Julika was far more upset. I think you would have got a much stronger Akuma out of Julika than Prem, in my opinion. But anyway, like I said, Prem does get acclimatized, the outfit amazing, the music, the dancing amazing, and how everyone eventually like, moves in sync as he creates this army, a Vampigami army. Amazing. Like, I loved it. I thought it was great, executed really, really well, and I loved that Ladybug was still a little bit scared as she was fighting. I thought that was really fun. However, again, this is another problem I had in this episode. So perhaps this is kind of my fault because I did go in, obviously as you can tell by my outfit, expecting a Juleka episode. However, you didn't really get much of Juleka after this really. So obviously at this point Rose is running to try and find Juleka to comfort her, to let her know things are okay, and Juleka is presumably at home being very, very upset, and Ladybug calls them. At this point for Rose, I would expect her to be kind of conflicted and be like, Ladybug needs me, I'm supposed to respond to every call, but on the other hand, my girlfriend's really, really upset to the point her brother, who lives in another country on a different continent, has had to ring me to go and check up on her because he's that worried about her. What do I do? And at the same time you'd have Juleka being like, again, I need to go, Ladybug's called me, however, I am extremely upset right now, the last thing I want to do is go and fight an Akuma. I just want my girlfriend and to make sure our relationship is okay. But you don't get any of that. They just turn up like nothing's happened. So again, perhaps it's my fault expecting a Juleka Rose episode, but like with the way the emotions were between them in this episode, I felt like that's where it was going. You know, like, it just didn't make sense. Like with everything that's happened, they're just fine to turn up to the Akuma fight and not have any deeper introspection in the episode about it. Didn't quite fully feel satisfying. So then the Akuma fight ends with the strongest miraculous power of them all, the big Elekish, which just seems to paralyse Prem, which again is just why I'm kind of on the fence about how he feels about Rose, because his gift was only about him and Rose. Like, had it been like, oh, here's a little image of Prem and Rose, and then Prem and Marinette, and then Prem and Adrian, or other people in the class, or whatever, I'd have been like, oh, he just wants friends, he just wants his friends to be happy, but they're all about him and Rose. So like, are you in love with it? I felt like this episode could have been stronger if we'd had more confirmation about how Prem actually feels, and then if Juleka realised that, it could have driven an actual wedge between them a bit more, because I was a bit like, I finished the episode and I'm not really sure how Prem felt, to be honest, other than he seems like a really nice guy. He seems lovely. But anyway, then we get to Ladybug and Cat Noir, and she warns him like, hey, this nearly happened to me before. So really enjoyed that scene, although she said like, I've had a feeling for a while. I'm a bit unsure what she's referring to here. I'm assuming that this feeling she's referring to was in another episode we just haven't seen yet because they're all out of order, which again, don't understand why they're doing that. And then Rose and Juleka do reunite, but it is a little bit unsatisfying in my opinion, and again, no follow through with Luca. He's just left in Brazil wondering what his relationship with his sister is like. Okay, and then we have the ending, so it seems like the boys are definitely, in my opinion, gonna attempt to try and break up Adrian and Marinette next, because they have a thing for couples apparently, and also Zoe. Zoe and everyone else in a relationship. Everyone else, if you're single, you'd be safe. I would be safe from them. And then we end with Lila and Tomoe. Of course, at this point, after Yakusai goes, it's not a surprise that they're working together, although she's given Lila a car. I highly doubt Lila could have afforded a self-driving car herself. But anyway, yeah. MVP honestly was Marinette. I was expecting to give it to Juleka or Rose. They didn't do enough. And 6.5 out of 10 overall. I'm just a bit disappointed with it. There were some great moments. Prem was great in the episode. Loved all the songs and stuff and the dancing. But I won't rehash it and tell you again, but yeah, just really wasn't good enough. So yeah, that's what I think, and now finally this batch is over. I don't believe we're getting any more new episodes before Christmas, which is really nice so I can have a break because I'm tired. Next Wednesday I can wake up and go to work because I'm in work next Wednesday. I timed this magnificently. Anyway besties, that is just what I think of Vampigami. Of course, if you disagree with me, if you really enjoyed this episode, that's totally fine. As long as you're respectful about it in the comments, I don't mind. If you have a difference of opinion from me, it is absolutely always okay. And if you're going to write me a long essay about the episode, then I can't wait to read it. Just please put some paragraphs in so it's easier for me to read because of my poor eyesight. So anyway besties, I'd love to know what you all thought of this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!